Hello, friends! If you don't know who I am, I'm Arkani the Satyr. It's nice to meet you. I am a large nerd. I do a lot of Larp, role playing, things like that. And today, I wanted to talk to you about Rise of the Blood Moon 5. This was an event at Mountain Pines Campground out in Champion, PA. It's a little southeast of Pittsburgh. It was September 27th through the 29th, though you could come the 26th. That was 2024, obviously, and it is a Hearthlight run event, but also a cross game. There's a lot of Bell, Antguard, Dagger here, things like that, all come together to make a wonderful event. It is run by Blood Horde and the Moonlight Sentinels, hence running of the Blood Moon. This is five, so it was the fifth year that they've done this event, and once again, it went off wonderfully. Both units run it well, both do a little bit here and there to make the event wonderful. We're going to talk about some of that. So, the format of the event is usually fighting around 11 to 2, somewhere in there, plus or minus an hour. It gives you a couple hours of field fighting, line fighting. They have awesome scenarios, things like that. We're going to do a quick review, things like that. Now, I will put a disclaimer. I am just an attendee. I am no one special. Everything that I am saying here is just my experience, things that I saw or didn't see. I can't comment on everything. I wasn't everywhere. It's impossible to be everywhere at the same time because it's a very large event and there's so many things to do. So I apologize if I missed your favorite part of the event or thing that you did or moment. Please let me know in the comments and explain them or remind me or just let me know to look for them in the future. And again, with that being said, here we go. All right. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, Friday, the fighting on Friday. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't there. Um, I worked Thursday night. I had planned on getting a nice early run into it. Um, Traffic around Pittsburgh was really bad. I got delayed. I also misjudged about how long it would take to get there. For me, it was around 3.5 hours. But that being said, I showed up right as fighting was going on, but I had to set up my camp, all that good stuff. What I hear, though, is the fighting went very smoothly Friday. The Sentinels, I believe, were all heralding that day. I heard that there were a couple medical issues. One person went to the ER, took an arrow to the eye, not to the knee, but to the eye. Um, Otherwise, was a very safe thing. The arrow should have passed, everything like that. It just happened to be a bad shot. Um, that Larper is okay. They came back and fought the next day and everything after getting checked out. So the medic staff is phenomenal at this event. Anytime somebody goes down, they've got a medic golf cart, gets on the field if they're needed, um, assesses them. They have great equipment. They do a wonderful job. So in all my times there, I haven't seen any serious complaints of medical being an issue. With that being said, we will shout out Moira here. Moira of the Moonlight Sentinels is the head herald in charge of scenarios, making sure everyone's safe, making sure everything's going on time together, and people aren't dying of thirst, etc., etc. I think she did a wonderful job. I think that the pacing of the scenarios and the events were great. We were a little bit delayed to start the event or start the fighting on Saturday, at least, that I participated in. So I can't speak on Friday, but once again, from what I understand, all of the heralding went really well. So shout outs to her for another year of good fighting. One thing I will point out that's unique to this campground, and Mountain Pines treats us all very well. Here's a picture of it. They've got walls set up on their fields. These are 8 foot by 4 foot. They can be turned sideways, topways, arranged however they want. These things are awesome. Okay, I've seen plenty of other events try to do cordon off areas for no goes or bridge battles, things like that, by using rope, by using hay barrels, by using little makeshift fences. Uh, these things just add so much to the battle. They are a solid wall that you can't get shot by arrows over unless the arrow actually goes over it. They do have a rule of no swung weapons over top of walls, so you can shoot an arrow over it, but you can't swing a weapon over it, which I think is a very reasonable thing. When I first heard about these and saw these being used, I was a little nervous. Just having a rigid wall on the field. I have not heard one issue come up with these. Never have I seen somebody get hurt. Never have I seen a weapon get broken on it. I haven't seen people, being unsafe jabbing around it. I think they're a great addition to the field, and I really like that the Mountain Pines event staff store these for them on scene and utilize them every year. It's awesome. They also station heralds around these to kind of cordon people off, remind them not to get too close to the walls when they're fighting, etc., etc. So I just think it's done very well, adds to the immersion of the fields. So we will talk about Night Life Friday, which I was able to participate in. Umshet is the traveling city of Blood Horde. It gets set up every year. It's wonderful here. Hang on, I've got a picture of that. Here we are. Oh, I'm in the way, but so this is Umshet, or at least a portion of it here. You can see on the right side over there, they've got some vendors set up. They've got a large stage in the back. They even have some quest tables, some more merchants. They've got other quest interaction NPCs to deal with. They've got the wench there. Did you know there's soup at the wench? So they give you in-game currency when you sign up and when you start come to the event that you can then use for real food, hot, served right at the wench here in character. And honestly, it's delicious. It keeps people from accidentally not eating. And it puts it right in the center where you're already hanging out with the merchants and everybody else. It's an awesome idea, and it's an awesome execution. Once again, they nailed it. You can also see they have a large fire pit in the center for the nighttime, the stage for Bardic later on, and just lots of tables and everything like that to hang out and meet everybody. Speaking of which, I met a lot of people. Everybody that I saw came up to me. It was so great. It was like meeting old friends and old family, just walking up. I mean, this is a phenomenon I'm still getting used to every year. Just how awesome everybody is, and how many people we see. But if you came up to me and talked to me Friday night or any of the time throughout the event, just to know, you guys all mean so much to me. That's why I like going to events, is just getting to see everybody again and catching up, and just that really is the whole highlight of everything for me. Speaking of meeting up with people, I camped with the Greeks. So for the first time at this event, I've been going, this is my 4th year at the event. For the first time, I camped at the Feral Forest. This year I was camping alone. I was a little nervous about it. I had never actually been to the Feral Forest before, so I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Didn't know what I was going to do as far as camp culture. I figured I was just going to set up my tent and spend most of my time in Umshet. I ended up camping right next to the Greeks, who, to my knowledge, it was their first rise here. I also camped next to Wellguard. Both people were wonderful. I can't overstate how welcoming the Greeks were. If you know the Greeks from other Hearthlight events, Siege, etc., in the past, they're mostly on the east side of PA, I believe. However, if you know them, you know their hospitality. You know they are just wonderful people and so welcoming, and I can attest to that. Thanks again, Greeks. We also accidentally, so Friday night in the nightlife, right here, like right in the center of where this picture's taken, they had a circle ring for night fighting. Okay, it was cordoned off, bright painted ring. It was awesome. I thought that was a great addition. I did hear a couple people were annoyed at the placement because it was right in the middle of town. However, I thought it was perfect. It really let people interact with both the wench hanging out and just kind of get some fighting in and tournaments, etc., right where everybody was hanging out. I didn't have to choose between, eating and hanging out at the wench or going to a field to watch some tournaments or participate in some tournaments. It just kind of brought everything, to the forefront, which I think was lacking in previous years, and I'm really glad that it worked out this well. We also had, I mentioned the currency that they use and everything like that, and quests. And you might be asking, well, hey, how do I get currency? How do I do quests? Well, right back here, all the way back there next to the stage, is a questing tent set up. We'll shout out. We'll shout out Ronzo here. Ronzo of the Moonlight Sentinels is in charge of all of the questing. He does a whole lot of work. You can see the quest board behind him in this picture. He does a ton of work creating quests, creating events, NPCs. They ran the hunt overarching quest. I believe it was Friday. I didn't get to participate, but everything was in character. Everything is. He spent his whole event, as far as I'm aware, just catering to making sure everybody else had a great time and great immersion. And I think that adds a whole lot to this event that I haven't seen at a lot of other events. So this isn't the first year he's done it. Once again, I think I heard nothing but good things about the quest board and all of the questing. If you're wondering what else you can spend your currency on other than soup at the wench, they have a myriad of other things. They have auctions going on, but one of the big things is magic items. You can either get some magic items through quests. You can also get magic items through auctioning and spending the in-game currency. We'll pull up this photo here. This is Gunther. If you know Gunther, everybody loves Gunther. He's a great guy. So here's him holding the Holy Hand Grenade this year. I believe he got that as a reward for completing the hunt at the fastest time, which I believe was only about 5 seconds faster than the next group. So the Holy Hand Grenade, it's black damage. It's a thrown ball. It's like dodgeball, but you have to count up before you get to throw it, and it's a one charge item. And then afterwards, if he picks it up, he can bring it back to a herald who can recharge it for him. And there were other magic items. There's bubble armor. There's magic arrows. There are magic swords, etc., etc. There's not too many that make it confusing or problematic, but enough that makes the scenarios very interesting. When you saw something like this line up opposed you on the line, you're like, oh man, I can't do anything about this. This is overpowered, but in a good sense, because it should be this. People. It gave a reason for people to do quests, get items, and just have a lot of fun with it. And it wasn't so overpowered it was breaking the immersion or breaking the event. It was just a fun thing to happen. And I know a lot of us in the boffer sports, we love hitting people. We love fighting and things like that. But sometimes the scenarios and things get stale. So adding in different aspects of it, I think goes a long ways. So fighting, well, the fighting on the Nightlife Friday, there we go, that's where I was going with that. So they had something that I had not seen before. They had a Blue and Brew. Okay, so a Blue and Brew was taking place at night in the fighting event. It was a 21 plus event, and you're fighting with a single weapon. In your other hand, had to be holding a red solo cup filled with some type of liquid. Um, there were certain rules around it. There are best of 3 fights. If you dropped your red solo cup for any reason, if it was knocked out of your hand, if you dropped it, you lost all 3. Doesn't matter. You just lost. If your cup gets hit, you still hold on to it, but it breaks. You lose that round. You die. If you manage to chug your entire cup before you die, if your cup is empty, you win the round. It was a lot of fun. I entered it. I accidentally entered it. Okay, I got a new sword. Thank you to Odie. I got a new sword, wanted to try it out, saw some night fighting going on, went back to the camp, grabbed the sword, came back right in time for signups for the Blue and Brew. I didn't know what it was, but since I wanted to fight anyway, they told me that there would be some fighting, so I joined. It was so much fun. I had never done anything like that before, but the unique rules on it, some people were having it was a mixture of fun, competitive, and just funny. So we do have some videos of that. All right, here. This is my first round. Okay. Spoiler alert. I died. I slipped here. He got an excellent shot on me, but I figured we could all laugh at me. I go in for a lunge, slip, bam. Look at that great shot. All right. Now, I did end up winning this round, and I made it to the semifinals. I lost to Tater. So good fight, Tater. It was wonderful fighting you. It was wonderful fighting everybody I did. The eventual winner of the tournament was, of course, Kage. If you know Kage, it's not a big surprise that he won. But here's one of his fights with a excellent snipe shot right on the red solo cup. Again, everyone's just having a lot of fun. Great sportsmanship. Everyone was just having a great time. So this event, I would love to see happen again, see it come back. I thought it was great. We do have they posted a picture of the tournament bracket. There we go. That's the word. Let me get my face out of there so you can see this. So Tater, Kage, that was the winning. That was the finals. You can see me up here, Arkani, in the semifinals. I lost to Tater. Good fights, and fun were had by all. All right. I talked about the hunt earlier. Again, I wasn't able to participate. Heard great things. Heard a lot of fun. There was teams of 4, I believe, that went through a scenario. They had to gather clues, fight a monster, deal with a monster, things like that. It was a shade this year, but I'm not going to speak too much more on that. If you want to know more about it, you can reach out to Ronzor the Sentinels, or you could reach out to Odie, who was the MC or the EC rather, not MC, the EC for this event. Once again, I pointed out this event is run by both Blood Horde and the Moonlight Sentinels. A lot of the back end is Blood Horde, and then a lot of the volunteer and events are the Sentinels, which is a pretty good way of handling it. Speaking of, we'll go right back into it. This here is a map that Ronzo made up for Rise of the Blood Moon. So the Sentinels themselves have an ongoing map, a whole world map, but this is a smaller section of it, similar. As you can see, we've got Blood Horde territory in red. You've got Umshet, which is the traveling city that Blood Moon takes place in. You got Ithelhaven, which was the location of Blood Moon 4. And you can see some other things. I'm going to read a few paragraphs here that Ronzo wrote explaining the lore and how things went this year. There were 12 villages between us and our goal. The goals were circled in green. Things weren't looking good until a group of soldiers made a plan to push as far forward beyond the war front as they could and then take a sharp turn to cut off any supplies from reaching the villages behind them that the rest of the army had yet to take. It came down to the wire on Saturday, but their plan succeeded. Our army was able to take 8 of the 12 villages, as you can see circled in blue. As for how that will affect things for the Rise 6, guess you'll just have to wait till next year and find out. All right. Once again, it brings so much immersion and wonder to the game and to the event. So, good job on all this. If you want to know more about the overarching and how your unit or you yourself can get involved in, seek out the Sentinels at any event. They carry the map around with them, and they will explain all the rules. So we get to the fighting on Saturday. We're going to start with, again, this was the first time I was here. I was eager. I hadn't fought in a long time. We're going to go over here. I was on the blue team, as you can see by mostly people wearing blue. Except for me, who stands out like a sore thumb wearing the red on the far right corner there. I was on this team because I chose to fight with the Greeks and Welguard, who I was camping with, who are all primarily wearing blue. It worked out very fun. I had a great time fighting on Saturday. It was hot. It was good temperature for it. I got tired pretty easily, but the pacing was great. The water breaks were great. They weren't too long. We moved things along smoothly. The fighting was rather intense. It was a lot of line fighting, a lot of fighting. A lot of the complaints I had in previous years didn't really exist. It was just a whole lot of fun. We did have a couple holds, the medical holds being called. All of them were quick, dealt with. Medical staff was once again on point. I myself got shoved extremely hard, fell over a hay barrel on the outskirts of the thing. It landed on my back. I got winded, but I was okay. Got back up, got out of my armor, and kept fighting. So Saturday, the fights, it was awesome. The scenarios were good, exciting. They were scenarios that I've seen before, that I've played before. Nothing terribly new, but they were well polished. I never really saw too much. There was a small issue with one of them. It ended up being a meat grinder, but I don't think that was on the scenario's fault. It was just kind of our teams were very well balanced, and neither side could win the objective. So it ended up just being a long fight until something happened. Which honestly I think is the best criticism you can give to the fighting, is the teams were just really well balanced. It felt like a slugfest every single event, which is, why I come to fight. So, yeah, great job this year on the scenarios. It was a lot of fun, and I had a great time fighting. Unfortunately, because of the fighting, I ended up missing arts and science. It was my own fault. I didn't realize the cutoff to enter arts and science was right when the fighting started on Saturday. What I was going to enter was the armor I made. I wanted to wear it for the event. I did not take advantage of the they had a system that you could submit pictures online if your item wasn't going to be there during the judging. I thought that it was going to be after fighting, so I didn't do that. Unfortunately, when I went to submit it, I was told I was too late to enter, so I didn't get to enter. Ultimately, it's my fault. I think that there is room for criticism to either better announce that or have less conflicting time schedules for it. But at the same time, I know the judges work very hard, and it takes a long time to judge submissions, so you got to cut it off at some point. So, yeah, it's. I was really sad about it, but I've got no one to blame but myself. The winner of the arts and science, at least the general, was Miok, who entered I believe, a cutlery set that he made. It was wonderful, so congrats to him, and congrats to all of the arts and science winners. I'm sorry if I didn't see or don't remember well enough to call out all of your submissions. Um, at the same time, I wanted to run a chess tournament. I ended up having to delay it. The initial thought was to have it right after fighting on Saturday. One, I was a little whooped after fighting on Saturday, so I had to take a small breather. But also, my chess tournament was an unofficial thing, and there were a lot of official events being run at the exact same time I planned on running it. And a majority of the people that wanted to enter expressed interest in pre-registering for the tournament ended up being busy doing something else. So I ended up pushing it back. I thought it wasn't going to happen at all until we were able to talk with some people, spread the word around that we were going to run a little later. We ended up running at 7 p.m., about an hour before Bardic was going to start, which had some other issues, but the chess tournament went wonderful. We had 7 entries, I believe. There were some great games of chess. We overcame a couple hurdles. It's the first time I've run something like that. I had some new chess clocks, had some issues. Everybody that participated in it was very understanding, very willing to work around it, and we had some great games. I had 3 trophies to give out. I gave out 3 trophies. If you got one of those, thank you so much for being. I plan on running more of them in the future. I really want to drum up reward enthusiasm for it. We actually had a few people come up during the tournament that expressed interest in being in the tournament. Unfortunately, the bracket was already closed. I couldn't add more. So hopefully next year I can take what I learned, make it more accessible, better timing, and get even more people involved. I caught the very end of the fighting tournaments. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see who won, didn't get to enter myself, which is okay. I had done enough fighting on Saturday that I was pretty happy to not have to fight in tournaments. But congratulations to those who did win. You know who you are. The event made wonderful belt flags. They're really high quality, awesome looking ones. If you see them at other events, congratulate them for winning whatever it says on their belt flag. Oh, Saturday Night Life basically started with Feast. So every year they have Feast. It's wonderful. The Mountain Pines Campground has a large gathering area with a kitchen. They provide food, drinks, and everything like that for people. You all come in, sit down. You do have to pre-register for the event to be able to attend. So if it's not your thing to go to the Feast, you don't have to. But everybody just dresses up. You wear your best Feast garb. You sit with friends. You watch some theatrics. That's where they can make announcements, talk about other things. It's just a great time. And honestly, if you're tired of eating camp food and soup at the wench, it's great to just guarantee at least one solid meal and good food in you at the event. So kudos to the event. I think that's a great addition. Right after Nightlife, I came out and right after Feast, rather, I got out and got ready for Bardic. I did enter Bardic this year. It was a whole lot of fun. Let me pull up. So here's the stage here. The stage was run by Hrothgar this year. He did a wonderful job. The best sound I've ever had at any Bardic event, period. They had multiple mics, multiple PAs. He's got a mixer back there with a preamp. I mean, professional sound. It was great. I was worried from previous years that we weren't going to have enough. I ended up bringing an amp of my own, and I didn't need it. In fact, I had a slight malfunction with it on the stage. Couldn't use it, so I used their PA. Perfect. Everything ran well. For those of you that missed it, I brought my drum set. It's the first time I've ever played the drums and sang on stage. So I was very nervous. I thought I did fine. I got through the song. It wasn't my best performance of it. If you're interested in the performance of it, I will be having a video on this channel eventually that's just me playing the same song. And I don't have any video of the actual performance from Rise, but I will make a video so everyone can see, hopefully a better recording of it anyway. With that being said, I didn't win Bardic. There were some great musicians there, great time, great people. I did what I set out to do for Bardic. I had a blast. I tried something new. I pushed my boundaries, and I got a lot of people coming up to me and said that they loved seeing it. It's not every day you see somebody haul a whole drum set to a LARP event, so it was a lot of fun. And Bardic, it was wonderful this year, and congratulations to the winners. I am blanking on the name of the winner this year, so I apologize. Please leave a comment down below if you know who won, because I would like to know. After Bardic, it was just nightlife. We got to hang out with... So I was camping, like I said, with Greeks, with Welgard. I went back. I hung out in Umshet for a while, talked, caught up with people, drank, had a great time. Afterwards, when things started to die down, I went back to tent, back to camp, sat around the fire with Welgard, had a great time, and just... It was so relaxing. It was so great to just camp out and hang out with people. If you guys haven't been to a weekend event, if you're thinking about going, do it. It's so much fun, so worth it, and it's what keeps me coming back. Events like this are what keeps me coming back to this sport and this game year after year. With that being said, I think I've touched all the bases that I wanted to touch. The only complaints that I ever heard about Rise this year was some issues with the currency. It happens every year. There's always some discussions about it. It's really hard to balance an economy, especially when you have RPG elements, quests, different things like that. You're always going to find somebody that can take advantage of the best way or the most efficient way to get gems and spend gems and hoard gems. It's always going to happen. People are going to be upset about it sometimes, but I think the event coordinators, they know about it, they look at it, and they are doing their best to make sure that it doesn't become a problem. So good job with them. Other complaints I heard was just the overlapping of timing. So many things to do, so much people want to do, and never enough time to do it. Again, it's just the nature of the beast. I think the event organizers do a wonderful job trying to give you the information of when and what things are happening so that you can make an informed decision of what you want to go to. If anybody's gone to a large convention, anime, etc., you know what I'm talking about. When you get to a small con, you hang out with your friends, you get to see everything, but sometimes there's not enough to do. When you go to a big con, there's so much to do. You never see your friends. You never get to do everything. There's just too much. And that's kind of how the event at Rise runs. It's just so good. There's so many good things you want to do. You can't do them all. With that being said, if you want to see more reviews like this, please leave a comment, follow, subscribe, hit that bell, do all the YouTube stuff. Leave some comments, suggestions. If I missed things, if you want to reminisce about things, if you want me to come to other events, if you want me to review specific things, or just share what you like and all the fun times that you have, please leave comments, and it'll let me know to put some more effort into this. In the future, this was kind of impromptu. In the future, I'm hoping to have more things polished, more things done well, more pictures, and maybe take some videos when I go to events. So if that's your thing, stick around. See you later, friends.